doing that? Oh, I'm such a goof. What am I doing, man? I was sitting here for like 2 hours, like trying to, not 2 hours, but like trying to get this thing to work. None of it was working. Okay, jeez. That was, that took way too long just to do. We're behind schedule. Checking my non-imaginary watch. We are way behind schedule, so we're jumping right into it. What up, Suns fans? Suns lose to the Indiana Pacers. Final score: Suns 111 to the Indiana Pacers 120. There's a lot to talk about this in just a second here. All right, I'm not delaying the stream any further. Let's just. Oh God, no, no!
Kevin Durant delivers. Gorgeous move from Bradley Beal.
Personally, I feel like that brother needed help.
Devin Booker with the clutch three.
It may be 235 days since the Suns last had a meltdown, but it has now been a day, or actually, it's been now 0 days since this stream, this channel has had a meltdown. I have no idea what just happened. Holy crap. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. Uh, Getting back into it, Suns lose. What the frick? What the frick? We had a 3 day break. They're quite a whiles away from this team. Everyone had time to regather, rejuvenate themselves, But, I think most of us deeply down did miss Suns basketball. And boy, did it deliver tonight as the Suns lose to the Indiana Pacers. Just typical stuff. Your typical stuff that goes down in the Suns game, like the common 16 turnovers. Yeah, that's what the frick? Who put that there? 16 turnovers this team had, and that right off the bat, there's your biggest problem. You want to know why the Suns lost tonight? It's the night. It's the 16 turnovers right there. That's the biggest problem, and we had like 10 at halftime. The Indiana Pacers defense is quite something else. Especially for a mixed Pacers season so far, we definitely made them look like their Eastern Conference appearance appearances that they had last season, because that's what the Suns do best, baby. So rough, rough. I mean, I think I should just come out and say this. All right, I hope this game proves to every Suns fan here, while Jimmy Butler would make this team slightly better, it's not worth it right now. There's no way a Suns player can look at this game tonight, watch the defensive disaster that the Suns were able to do, where they couldn't even get a stop on the Pacers mostly. All right. Both teams had like 40% from the field. Yeah, that's not defense. Suns are nowhere playing any good defense. And their offense is even that good either, as they had 9 threes out of 30 attempts. Like, quite simply, the Indiana Pacers came into our building tonight and looked and shot like the better team here, which shouldn't be the case for a championship desiring Suns team. Where's the defense? Our offense is there. Like KD, 37 tonight. I'm wearing his jersey tonight. He had 37 points. Pretty great. But like it just didn't feel like enough out there. Like somehow, this is our first game where we've had the big three back, Beal, Book, and KD all came back tonight, and we still lost by 9 points to the Indiana Pacers, who were, emphasis on were, 4-11 on their road trips. They're now 5-11 because of this game. This simply should not be the case offensively. Um, so this just goes back to my point again about defense being the biggest disaster the Suns have had this season. Okay, and that is where I loop back to the Jimmy Butler trade that we've been having recently. Now, I would love a Jimmy Butler trade. Let's get that out of the way. I would love him on this team, mostly because he's a star, and obviously he's still great. I mean, he had a great triple double against the Detroit Pistons recently that a lot of Suns fans were talking about, and it continues to generate hype in the Suns community. But I think that was all in the off days. The Suns have had a lot of off days recently between the NBA Cup that was been going on and just kind of gaps between this December. It's been kind of a lonely past 2 weeks for us Suns fans. But now that we're getting back into these kind of games and like just the general grind of the season, defense is still the biggest problem, and if we did trade for Jimmy Butler, it would improve, but like not greatly. It wouldn't improve our defense, is what I'm trying to say here, right? I've seen most of the talks, okay? I've talked about this before, and I've been saying that it's mostly improbable for the Suns to get this done. Now, in a fairy tale scenario where if all the Suns have to offer, this fairy tale, including the obstacles that the Heat would want Beal, are willing to take Bill's $50 million contract, and a third team in the NBA is willing to make this happen. And then all the Suns have to send out is Beal and like our first round pick. Now, in that fairy tale scenario, I'm fine with that getting us Jimmy Butler. But notice how I say that is a lot of obstacles the Suns have to go through just to get this to work, and that's a fairy tale scenario. I think at this point, I saw a trade made by ESPN that was a little more realistic because I don't know how we all don't know how much the Heat are thinking about this trade. We don't know if the Suns office is actively trying to pursue this trade, but like it's going to take some convincing otherwise. So that ESPN trade I mentioned included like all of the Suns picks, which was that first round in 2031, and also a couple second round picks that we managed to basically corral during the off season, which was really great off season. We have a lot of assets. We got to be really thankful about this office for somehow squeezing this scenario to just give us a little bit of trade, like a little bit of trade assets this offseason. The front office has been simply doing a great job, which brings me back to the point, why would they, if that is the most likely scenario where it's Beal and like all of our picks, why would the Suns office do that just to get marginally better? I think when you look at it at that point, the Suns are giving too much for what they're getting back in return. And that doesn't seem worth it to me anymore for Jimmy. So I'm basically saying if we can't get him for a bag of chips, then let's not get him anyway. Which, when you put it that way, it seems a lot more reasonable. I and I think it's definitely the reality of this situation that simply the Suns cannot make a move for Jimmy Butler. So let's crush those allegations right here, right now. I will eat my words. I will eat my broccoli if Jimmy Butler does come to the Suns. But as of right now, that is seemingly unlikely. Okay, there we go. We have said that. So when I look at this game, defense is still such a big issue. Okay. So let's go out and get some. Let's scour the trade market once again for some defensive, just bench players. Funny enough, I honestly look at the Pacers team and I kind of imagine that's what the Suns could be right now. Like, obviously, it's funny that we're having these conversations again because initially, when Bradley Beal trade rumors were floating around the Suns, I don't think I've ever said it on camera much, but I've always stated that I am not a fan of forming the big three. This was before the big three was formed, and I was more in favor of getting like great bench assets. Which, when you look at it, is literally the Indiana Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam being their two stars, and they just have a great bench surrounding those two. And they made a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Um, so I definitely think we should take a lesson from history here, and the Suns need to go after some bench pieces with whatever we have left. We went all in on Beal. There's no need to go even more all in on Jimmy Butler. Okay. This is where I bring up the point again that the Suns have basically just grasped any last straws they had to give what we have now as tradable assets. So, bench pieces, definitely the way to go. The big three, as of now, is solid enough. I believe before tonight they were 7-2 overall, now 7-3 on the season when they are all formed together. So the biggest problems of this big three continue to be injuries, and I mean, what isn't? What isn't? Like, injuries are other teams' problems as well. Suns just are unfortunately unlucky in that department, as we'll get more into that later. But that's where I stand on this situation. Okay, go get bench pieces. Stop with the Jimmy Butler trade, and I hope this game makes you Suns fans realize that Beal is not our biggest problem on this team. I mean, he technically is salary cap wise, but that's why we have Matt Ishbia, the GOAT. And yeah, it's defense. This team needs defense, and we'll be getting more into that hopefully later. As I believe other Suns kind of like talk heads, I really had no idea what to call them. Suns influencers. I don't know. Suns content creators, I guess I would say. I forget who it is, but like on Twitter, they've been saying that like the Suns office is gonna take this basic December, the rest of December, to like look over at this team and see what needs improvements. And so basically meaning that these next couple of games for the Suns in the rest of December is gonna be really pivotal on where the Suns are gonna make moves on come trade deadline, which I definitely see that. We have a big December coming up, boys. The first half of December is over. We have 6 days until Christmas, boys. And the schedule does not let up here as we face the Denver Nuggets twice, which, reminder, is currently the fifth seed. We face the Mavs, the fourth seed, the Warriors, who are now the 10th seed. Yikes. And then the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the second seed. This is huge. Pretty much a make or break for our current standings. I've been emphasizing over these last couple of weeks that wins are really starting to matter now. And this is a really big part of the schedule that the Suns need to do their homework on. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck at the bottom of the standings and be forced to make a run near the end of the season. We're basically putting ourselves in a bad position if we lose all those games, a really bad position, and we'd have to make a run like January, February, those types of stuff. Otherwise, we probably make the play-ins. So game time is now, boys. It is uh it is the meat of the season. All right. So hopefully we'll be seeing trade rumors here. Hopefully Matt Ishbia, Josh Barlstein, and I'm forgetting his name again, but our GM game manager. Uh, I remember his face for some reason, but I can't remember the name. But hopefully they're able to cook something up. So, in the meantime, we're still dealing with games like this, where the Suns are having trouble with turnover issues. Over 16 on the night. Our Let's talk about that big three I'm hyping up so much. So KD, 37 points, very efficient. I did not notice he had 37 points. I definitely did feel like KD was a little lackluster in his performance tonight. But that 37 points did amaze me. I don't know when he had the time to go get that, but he somehow did. But that wasn't even enough to bring this game close together. As once again, I point you towards the 16 turnovers. Bradley Bill, first game back, 31 minutes, 16 points, 2-2 from three. I mean, yeah, he doesn't seem to be having that knee swelling anymore. But also did not help that much in that department, as he also had three turnovers. KD had five himself. Oh God. And then definitely the biggest question here for tonight is Devin Booker, who started this game out amazing, was aggressive, was able to cut to the rim. And I definitely will say this one thing about tonight's game is that first opening quarter of game, the Suns looked really good. All right. They had an 8-0 run to start the game off with, and they looked really awesome. Uh, KD was struggling that first half. I mean, that was only more to come, I guess, but he did warm up eventually. But Book was amazing that first quarter, mainly cutting. And one other person I will mention here is Yusuf Nurkic, really amazing. He surprised me a lot today. I think he had a definitely solid game. But back to Book, he started the game a really amazing, being really aggressive again. Honestly, he looked like he could have dropped another 60 bomb on the Indiana Pacers if he had the time. But God dang it. Oh God, I dropped my mic. Uh Book's injured, fellas. I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if most of you caught it during the broadcast, but Devin Booker uh, sat the rest of the half. I think it is. I don't know. I don't remember seeing him like coming out at halftime, like starting with the team. Um, but I do remember them saying something about like leaving the third quarter. So it was kind of like third quarter ish that Booker didn't return to the game and went back to the locker room because he was diagnosed with groin tightness. Yeah, he's not really helping the allegations with that. And what I mean by those allegations is there's a certain Suns Twitter account that I've just been kind of seeing every now and then, and they're keeping track of every time the Suns' big three gets injured, and it usually falls into a pattern of like big three all back together. KD gets injured. KD comes back. Beal gets injured. Beal finally comes back. KD gets injured again. KD comes back. Book's injured. And it's just like this constant pattern of where none of them can stay healthy just to play together. I mean, they've played 10 games now together. as a whole trio, and yeah, sucks. It sucks. I don't know what groin tightness definitely feels like. So I really don't know how serious this could be. But knowing this is the first time that Book's been injured this season, which is a thing I haven't talked much about this season. That we've been neglecting to talk about. Like, say what you want about all what you think Booker has been, how he's been playing this season. But I mean, one fact you got to appreciate him for is that he's remained healthy up until this point. 25 games he has been able to play without being injured, but that definitely it will probably end tonight as he left with groin tightness. So hopefully he gets better on that. The Suns have a little bit of a break here. We have a day off before we return Saturday against the Detroit Pistons. So hopefully Book will be fine with that. Um, so prayers up for Book, but he's definitely looking uh, he was looking solid before that. So that's our big three. I can't really do quick maths right now. Although, I mean, 43, 50, 53, 60, 70 points combined for the big three. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. But I mean, any other night, they could probably dealt with more. I mean, I think maybe if Book stayed in, we could have probably had this be a closer game, as he was that much of a problem on offense, or a problem for the Indiana Pacers. That is, he's definitely grabbing a lot of attention, and he was able to really uh, make some plays for some of our bench guys. So that's our big three. Tyus Jones had his first game. I would say he had a really bad game. He only contributed 7 points, but he was an unfortunate 3 of 10 from the field and 1 of 6 from three. So I mean, all that hyping I've been doing over the past weeks has finally came back and bite me, and bit us as he drops a stinker, his very first stinker that we've had in a while. Um, wasn't able to contribute much, although he did give 7 assists, but had 2 turnovers. I mean, that Pacers defense, which is crazy. They're really shifty, but I mean, also we're just being careless and stupid with the ball. I mean, that offense was gets really bad when everyone just stops like moving. Like a very big difference you can notice between offense that started the game where we got on that 8-0 run is that the Suns were moving and were able to cut each time. But then the rest of the game, everyone just stood still. I mean, I'm not that much of a basketball nerd where I could have an exact answer to that. So that may be like a reason in Pacers defense changing. But also the Suns weren't moving much. So that just creates stagnant offense. And, not the turnovers happen from that. Not the best defense. So Tyus Jones, very bad night. Yusuf Nurkic, I would say he had a good game. Hate all you want, man, but you can't hate on Nurkic. It really seems like I'm the only Nurkic defender out here nowadays. But you gotta love him, man. He started that first quarter really good, and he surprised me in a lot of ways, as he had 12 points. He had the double double with 10 rebounds as well. And I mean, he was really just doing everything that first quarter. He caught a lob, which was crazy. I didn't even know Nurkic could complete lobs, which is strange. But he was basically doing everything around for the Suns, contesting shots. He literally like stretched, wrapped around Miles Turner to like contest Nemahard or something on the perimeter. It was actually kind of crazy. Um, just contesting. He was finishing lobs, like I was said. He was rebounding, 10 rebounds, and he was playmaking as he usually does. And when I say playmaking, I don't mean like he was Tyrese Halliburton playmaking out there, but like he just does his usual dribble the ball, walking up the court, and then like waits for someone to come and take the ball from him. And then he usually does the screen. So that is his usual job. And he had some good layups. Although I will say in the half, he had some bad plays. Definitely, it was either in the third quarter or the fourth quarter where Nurk had a really bad layup, or like he had an open dunk and then he fumbled it. That's the only really bad play I could ever think for Nurk. So I mean, a solid night. You can't hate on a solid night from Nurk. Okay. Um, and he had two turnovers, and he hit the night night celebration. I really love that. So that's our whole starters. Combined, uh, 13 turnovers from our starters. Amazing. You really got to love that. And not much action from our bench, especially when Indiana has the better bench here. I think we could confidently say that. I mean, otherwise, it was just mostly the heavy lifting from Obi Toppin from their bench as he had 13 points. Um, Not that much of an impressive night from our bench either. Royce O'Neal was 3 of 5. All of those were three, and most of them, most importantly, he hit a crazy three to end the half, like buzzer beater style. That was awesome. And Royce O'Neal just continues. Meanwhile, Tyus Jones had fell off or had like a bad night, his first bad night in a while. Royce O'Neal continues to be a great role player for the Suns. When everything else is bad, at least we have Royce O'Neal contributing. He had 9 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's beautiful. Although he had 5 fouls. And we move on. Grayson Allen also had a pretty rough shooting night, I would say. He didn't make a three ever. He still had 8 points though, as he charges down into the paint like a running back, just pushing out everyone, and he lays it up. He does that little good thing that he's been really good at this season. Misses 3-point production though, as Grayson Allen somehow had 10 rebounds. What? He had 2 assists, and somehow, even though he had three like layups, that was his only points for the night, and free throws. He had 2 free throws. He was a plus 19 for the night. Other than that, not much other from the bench. Ryan Dunn made a late appearance into this game. I don't know why Coach Bud decided to not play Ryan Dunn for so long, but I mean, he looked pretty rough in that fourth. Basically, when the Suns needed anything to go for them, Ryan Dunn did not help that much in that department. I mean, he's the rookie. You can't depend all that much on him. Monte Morris had some time, but I mean, honestly, there's other guys that had some time, but they weren't all that notable. So I'll just save you guys the trouble and say nothing much else happened. So the Suns lose to the Indiana Pacers, and that was basically a wrap of our entire game. Sucks. We are now 14-12 on the season, and that puts us back in 8th seed. That's tough, especially because over the week we had the uh, NBA Cup that has went on, and congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the NBA Cup, I guess you could say. But during that time, the Warriors, wait, they weren't in there. Oh, yeah, they were. They lost to the Rockets. So with that kind of loss, it really pushed them back in the standings, and it put us in 6th. For a short second, we were 6th. We had it all, and now we're back to 8th. So Scary times, but also huge opportunity. As the saying goes, in chaos there is opportunity, and the West is chaotic as it has ever been in history. And with the Suns' upcoming schedule, with two back-to-back games against Denver, a Mavericks game after that, a Warriors game after that. Though the Mavericks and Golden State games are back-to-backs, like little day back-to-backs. The Warrior games, the Nugget games are back-to-back. One not on Christmas and the other on Christmas, and then that Grizzly game after. So those are tough competitors. I'm scared for them, especially the way that the Grizzlies manhandled the Warriors tonight. I don't know if you guys saw that. I guess I should mention it briefly if you're curious. Final scores for Memphis and Golden State. Memphis 144, Golden State 93. So, yikes. Yeah, definitely not scared about that. So, yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for the Suns to go on a run here, but there's also an opportunity for the Suns to completely fumble these upcoming games, and we could possibly land in the elimination category if the Sacramento Kings and Spurs somehow go on a run here. So we will see about that. Anyways, next Suns game, we'll be back. I believe I already mentioned this. We will be back December 21st against the Detroit Pistons. Our third game in City Editions. I did not know that tonight was Valley Night, and the game before today was also a Valley Night. So Portland Valley Night today, Pacers a Valley Night, and Detroit's our next game on Saturday will be a Valley Night. And I don't have that much problems with that. Although I've been keeping track here, the jersey records for each Suns. It's a shame that the city editions we are 1-3 in. Honestly, say what you want about the city edition jerseys, whatever. But I think what really saves them is the aesthetics. Like the jerseys on themselves, they're but I'm really starting to come around to this value value things simply because of the aesthetic of the whole thing. It's really retro, it's vintage, and it's nostalgic. So I really like those. I really like that aesthetic. Just the way that footprint and the courts and just everything around it is all is a, it all gives off the atmosphere, and I think that's what I really appreciate about today this year's city edition. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of that. Um, Another victory for Matt Ishbia, the GOAT. I guess another thing we could touch on here really quickly is the new $2 value menu. Quick dubs. Holy crap. Matt Ishbia taking dubs wherever he can, dude. The Suns may suck right now, but Matt Ishbia is still grabbing those dub skis. So it's amazing having an owner like this. You know, I just really feel good about the Suns in the upcoming years. And whether it ends in a championship or not, I'm still glad to call myself a Suns fan. So that will be it for today's reaction. I guess you could say Suns lose to the Pacers. Enjoy the day off, but we will be back here against the Detroit Pistons, which should be a win. I could definitely see us going on a quick little run here. I mean, Denver, we handled them pretty easily last year. Yusuf Nurkic always seems to be good against Jokic, so I'd really love to see that matchup. I'm pining for a good Yusuf Nurkic matchup against Jokic. That'll be really fun to watch. Yeah, Nuggets just always fun guys to play. Um, yeah, Detroit. they've been looking more solid this year. They're definitely not the fire disaster they were last year. So they're looking better. So that should be like another kind of Utah Portland scenario where they're like kind of good. They're like almost to being competitive again, but they're still far away from it. I mean, Kate Cunningham could still probably do a lot of damage if he wants to, and he can probably. So hopefully, Book will be back for that game. Other than that, there's not much else I could say about tonight's loss other than see you next time. Hey, if you liked this content, please like, subscribe, and comment. We'll be here all Suns season to cover the rest of the Suns games, and we'll see you next time. So long for now.
Kevin Durant